I'm first going to ask the group to introduce yourselves, tell us kind of your affiliation with Huck House, or like why you're here, why you're sleeping out.
My name is Kyra Crockett Hodge. I am the Director of Outreach and Engagement at Huckleberry House. I've been here 24 years. Y'all see all the gray hair in my hair? Why I am here, I've said this plenty of times, but I would not be at Huckleberry House this long if I didn't believe in what we do. I work with these young people. They are ingrained in my heart, and I love what we do, and to bring awareness and learn the stories of every young person, it has been remarkable. So I'm here with all of you to raise awareness.
Hi, I'm Sonny Styles. I play football here at Ohio State. I think the reason I'm here, my mom, she kind of introduced Huckleberry House to me back in January. And for me and my brother, he plays at Notre Dame, it kind of touched our heart because, it's kids our age, and it's a struggle enough just being a kid and growing up. So, hearing about these stories and what they go through, I think that's what really made us want to support this, and it's a great cause, and obviously we are in a very blessed position, and we've been blessed with a great opportunity, so we wanted to find our way to give back and do our part.
Hi everybody, Allison Marker. I'm with Marker Construction, and I've been with the commercial construction company. It's a family business for the last about 11 years, but my background started in social work. I have a master's of social work from Ohio State, and while I was there, I interned with homeless shelters, and so I've been involved in one form or another with the homeless, people who are experiencing homelessness for the last 20 years. And it really wasn't until last year when I was introduced to Huck House that I started thinking really differently about youth experiencing homelessness, because my background was really exclusively with adults who were experiencing homelessness. And as a mom now with 3 kids, ages 8 to 15, just my perspective has changed. And I'll talk about maybe a little bit more later, but just understanding the issues that come with youth who are experiencing homelessness and how that's different. So I'm really glad you guys are all here. I'm happy to be here. Thanks to the Marker team who's here as well, and I'm really glad to be supporting Huck House.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Sarah Loken with Community Shelter Board. I have been working professionally in the field of homelessness for almost 30 years. So I've never done anything else, so it's definitely my passion during the day, and I can't stop thinking about it even at night. So it's something I care deeply about, and Community Shelter Board and Huckleberry House have a great, strong, collaborative relationship. Community Shelter Board is the organization that leads a coordinated community response to make sure that everyone has a place to call home in Columbus and Franklin County. And we work really closely with 20 different partner agencies that deliver services across the community, and Huckleberry House is one of those, and one of the most excellent of those. And really, I'm here to show our support. We believe very strongly that every person in our community should have a place to call home, and it is nights like this that put that belief into action, and it's really powerful.
Thanks. We're going to start with Sunny. So you've just been learning about youth homelessness over the past few months, and I'm wondering if you could tell us all, what's the one thing that really has stood out for you in what you've been learning, especially because you're 18?
I think something that stood out to me is probably the number. Talking to you, some of the numbers you gave me, how many there are, and I think like you heard earlier, that's probably like a lot of kids I've been to school with. Some of the students, some of the kids are trying to put a happy face. Like he said, they're trying to blend in, and those are kids that are going through that. I think not really noticing that and realizing those numbers is something that stood out to me. So.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, we're going to pass that over to Allison next to you. So Allison slept out last year, and I'm wondering what's been running through your head, but you can tell us that. But I have a second question. I have a lot of people I talk to, and like, well, you slept out last year, will you come back again? And the answer I get so often is, well, I did it once, why would I need to do it again? But Allison's back for a second time. There are some people who are back for their 6th time, but I want to know what made Allison come back this year too.
Okay, so first question was what's been going through my head. One of the most impactful things that happened last year for me was really watching the documentary. More than anything, there was a documentary that we watched about teens who were experiencing homelessness and who were in receiving services. And it's the issue of the invisibleness and the blending in that was really eye-opening for me. As I mentioned, my background was all working with adults, and I think we look at adults a little bit differently. You maybe have some different resources or some different tools to handle some of your issues, whether that's right or wrong. But teens don't have access to all of that kind of stuff, and it's a much different experience. And just really thinking about the situations that teens can get in, that or that teens are experiencing at home that lead to them leaving home or being without a home was really eye-opening for me. So that was a big awareness for me. I just hadn't thought about it much before that. So that was really good. Why do I keep coming? Why am I back this year? I think this is a really amazing event. I think there's a lot of opportunity here to raise awareness. I want to see hundreds of people here next year and years to come. I think it's just really powerful, a great way to raise awareness. When I talk to people about it, they're like, oh, but the rain, it's one night. It's one night that we're giving up, and it's nothing compared to what so many people experience. So for me, it's, how do we get more people to come? I want to keep coming, and I want more people to come. And I'm really grateful that, we grew last year. Bree from our team attended, and then we've got several others with us here today. So.
Thank you. Yeah, we're going to go to Sarah next. Community Shelter Board has invested so much over the past few years addressing youth homelessness. Can you share, I already know, but I'm going to ask for your voice about the role that Huck House has played in ending the homelessness journey for so many youth?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So Community Shelter Board, one of our roles in the community is to advocate on behalf of organizations like Huck House to try to compete for federal, state and federal dollars to address homelessness. So as the kind of official continuum of care body in our community, we're the ones who can raise our hands and say, this is what our community needs. So we had submitted an application to the U.S. Department of HUD to see, and it's a very, very competitive application for millions of dollars to say, hey, our community could really do some incredible work and make an incredible impact, specifically around youth, if you pick us for this new federal award that is a pilot kind of demonstration project. The U.S. Department of HUD is like, okay, we're going to dedicate some money specifically around youth, young people, age 24 and younger, who are experiencing homelessness. The reason the federal government is paying attention to that is because if someone experiences homelessness at that young age, under the age of 24, the likelihood that they will experience homelessness again and be likely to become kind of like chronically homeless throughout their life really increases. They're really at risk for that. So it's this idea of early intervention. So anyway, like I said, very competitive process. Communities all over the country are all saying, we could do amazing things if you pick us. We could do amazing things if you pick us. We applied and didn't get it. And then we were so mad. We applied again. We're like doubling down. And then we got it. We got this award. It was over $6 million to say, basically like if you could design anything to address youth homelessness, what would you design? And so we worked really closely with Huckleberry House and a few other agencies in the community and designed some new programs to say we're going to try to get at this differently and we're going to make a real difference. And we were able to do that. And Huck House had a really, really significant role. We changed the way that that our community makes resources available to find youth and for youth to find us. Huckleberry House was involved in that, changed some of the ways that they're able to access services, created some new transitional ways that they can get help, created some new permanent housing options. Huckleberry House was involved in, every single aspect across the continuum of what was designed. But the most incredible thing is that a year later, 98% of the young people who got help through that demonstration program were still stably housed. So what Huckleberry House is doing actually works, and that is exactly the intention of that federal demonstration program, was to say, let's try to get at it in a different way and see what kind of impact we can make, and they were significantly successful. It's a huge win.
Thanks. So Sarah talked about creating new ways for youth to access housing, and we're going to hear from Kyra next. She leads that team, the Coordinated Access Rapid Resolution, which is a mouthful, so we call them the CAR team. So she's working with young people every day who are experiencing homelessness, helping them get into housing. Well, we got the great news that 98% of young people who got housing through the program were successfully housed a year later, still successfully housed. The hard number for me is that 179 days. So what we found in the evaluation of the program, the community program, was that the average number of days a young person spends from intake to being housed is 179 days. Since you're working with them during those 179 days, can you tell us kind of what youth are experiencing while they're waiting for housing? And then I've got a happier question to follow up.
Well, what I want to say first is prior to the project that we have built, young people, the only way that they could access housing would be to go to the adult shelter system. And prior to that, so this system, this project is not perfect, but it is so much better. So I'm so happy that we're able to create this thing that is still, kind of morphing into what we hope it to be. But prior to this, I think it was even longer, because they were up against every 40, 50, 60-year-old who is also in the shelter system that is in that housing pool. And our system, our community goes by vulnerability. So you get a score, right? And so if I am 18, 19, 20 years old who doesn't have a history of evictions or, a lot of rental history or things like that, then my score is never going to compete with a 50-year-old who's been homeless for years, right? So they were never getting picked. And so now that we have this new youth coordinated system, you're only competing against each other, right? And so it makes the system fit, it goes a lot faster. Although 179 days is still a long time. What these young people are experiencing, they're trying to figure it out. They're trying to figure it out every single day. And I think that once we have that moment to say, breathe. You can chill out for a second. And yes, it is very sad that what you have gone through and what you have been exposed to, but let us take down those barriers and those walls and try to help remove all the obstacles that are keeping you from your dreams. Everyone deserves to be housed. Everyone deserves to live the life that they choose to live. And housing is one of the first things and the most things that young people need in order to have that stability. So during those days, we're trying to help them get housing ready. They're trying to figure it out. They are, sometimes they're at community, drop-in centers. They are finding people who will allow them to stay. We talked about places where they kind of hide and duck off on campuses and in the libraries, but a lot of those places close at 7, 8 o'clock. And so where do they go during the night? Sometimes they're at bus stops. And wherever they can, there's tent cities. They're up by the railroad tracks. There's kids that are actually living. I know my team had gone up there one time, or a few times, but it looks literally like, and I always talk about my kids' rooms. My son is back there, but I always get on them about being just, messy. And it's so funny because even in homelessness, you go up to the tent tracks, you see all kinds of just stuff. People, the purses hanging from trees and, buckets and, they make it home. And I always tell all my young people, these are my work babies, so I call them that all the time. And I am so impressed by their resiliency. I don't think I could do it. I don't think that I could live what they experience on a daily basis, and just trying to figure out, how am I going to eat? How am I going to, even if we get them SNAP benefits, you get $194 for a month, right? And so how are you struggling and figuring that out to stretch each month to eat 3 times a day, right? So figuring, there's a lot that they are just really just trying to figure it out every single day. And our goal is to give them something to aspire to, give them some hope, and let them know that they don't have to do it alone. You have somebody to try to lean on. And a lot of times these young people don't have a lot of trust. They have been broken from that. They don't trust. There's a lot of adults who have failed them. There's a lot of systems that have failed them. And so it takes a lot to kind of get them to trust us and allow them to say, okay, we're going to help you navigate it. I don't have all the answers, but we're going to figure it out together.
Okay, so I've had the great pleasure of being at some move-in days at the apartments at Huck House, and I think especially of 2020, and we haven't really had the chance to tell people a lot about those months of 2020. We purchased an apartment complex, so we had 56 apartments to move people into the week the state shut down. So between March 14th and July 1st of 2020, we moved in 54 people into Kenmore Square. That was like celebration after celebration after celebration. It was just like week after week. And then in August, we partner with Community Housing Network on a permanent supportive housing building. And if you want to talk later about what that means, we can do that. But that was another 40 units. So that spring and summer, we moved 96 people into housing. And it was, yeah. So you've been a part of some move-in days. Think of one of your favorite move-in days and just the emotion, the excitement. It's something.
It is surreal for a lot of young people. And to just this is all mine, right? This is all for me. A lot of young people have never had that experience, and to be able to, I think, just breathe. I can't even put words to it. I think just to be able to feel that I do not have to worry about where I'm going to lay my head at tomorrow. And I think there is just an overall just joy. We've had so many young people that say, oh my God, thank you. I'm just so grateful and thankful for this situation, because I never thought that it would happen. So just joy.